title of that song is Where the Light Gets In, and that is from the brand new album by my special guest today, Michael McDermott. The name of that album is called St. Paul's Boulevard. Michael, thank you so much for being on the Friday Afternoon Music Mix. It's a pleasure to have you here
It
today.
is my honor, Gregory. Thank you.
Really grateful when Mike Farley, your media consultant, got back to me and said that you'd be available for this interview. I was really excited. Several of my friends and I have been big fans of yours for some time, ever since I was on another radio station down in Tucson, Arizona, 2012, when Hit Me Back came out. I just have been crazy about that album, and I've introduced it to a lot of people. But I also, this week, in doing my research for your interview, I must admit embarrassingly that I never knew about your band after that you formed with a lot of really talented artists, including your wife, Heather Horton,
Yes.
called the Westies.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so it's funny. I'll mention the funny story about Hit Me Back. Was the producer, CJ Erickson, said when we were done with, he said, if this record isn't a hit, I'm going to drive a cab. And so he is currently, no, then he got a job doing monitors with U2. So he didn't ever become that dream of being a cab driver. But yeah, the record didn't do as well as we hoped. I'm glad, it's great to hear that people heard it, because I was signed to this small label out of New Jersey, and they dropped me like 2 days after the record came out. 2 days. I'm like,
Incredible.
How could you even, what kind of metrics were you judging this on? And I didn't know. So it was very disappointing because I thought we had a great record, but I'm so glad that you heard it at least. And it's funny, you mentioned before we started about that song, Is There a Kiss Left on Your Lips? And a girl in New York just requested that at a show of mine at City Winery in New York a couple months ago. And it's the first time I'd had anyone request that song. And then you mentioned it here today. So anyway, the Westies was really just kind of an experiment, because my manager at the time, right after Hit Me Back, thought, you've done this a while now. And all the people that, I mention you to, they say kind of, oh, Michael McDermott, geez, he's still doing it. And he said, I just think you're not getting a fair shake. So he said, what if you just start a band, your songs, but you just do it under a different name, and then people will listen with different ears. And that's what we did. The Westies was I had all these kind of crime-based, like film noir songs, and so we decided to do it with that, and it did. And the Westies got a lot of attention. People then re-listened to me again.
Like I said, when I listened this week, I was stunned. Both of those albums that you have under the Westies are just absolutely amazing. And I know that second album that you have there,
Six on the Out.
Yeah. It had some great songs on it. And then the other one, the two releases are Six on the Out and West Side Stories.
Right.
Two of the songs that I loved, I guess were on West Side Stories, was Hell's Kitchen and Trains.
Yeah.
I thought they were both just amazing songs.
Thank you. And Trains was on Hit Me Back, and we decided to redo it and do it more of a kind of that certainly more of an Americana treatment, more of a kind of a film noir, kind of more mysterious kind of version of it.
And talking about film noir, I want to bring up some things that I did not know, is that Stephen King is a big fan of yours.
He is, yes.
Has a quote in there that I discovered called, Michael McDermott is possibly the greatest undiscovered rock and roll talent of the last 20 years.
20 years? I thought at least 30. You should have said 30. Even when people pay you compliments, I just can't accept it. They should,
you got to
I have to critique
it.
Great. Never good enough.
And some of your lyrics have ended up in a couple of his books as well.
Yeah. It was amazing. So I was here as an Illinoisan. So I was in New York somewhere, upstate, and somebody, sometimes people leave gifts for you or whatever. And sometimes, a lot of times the fans of mine or whatever will leave me books that inspired them or thought I would like. But anyway, I got this book. It was a soft covered. It looked like a test pressing, and I didn't know what it was. And I opened it up, and it was this writing from Stephen King saying, I used some of your lyrics in the epilogue. And I thought, what is this? Who dropped this off? No one knew. It was mysterious. It was after the show. And so a week or two later, I was playing basketball at my sister's house in the driveway. Take my basketball very seriously as a guy from Chicago, And so my sister yelled out, through the open window, like that I had a phone call, and I was flabbergasted because no one interrupts my basketball games. I said, I'm playing basketball. And she said, it's Stephen King. And I was like, the writer? Like, wait. So I thought, what in the world? So I went in and answered the phone, and he was, as nice as could be, and said he was coming, and if I wanted to go to the Cubs game with him next week. And I thought, oh my God, yeah. And, he said, did your publisher tell you I'm using some lyrics here? And I said, well, no one really told me anything. And I don't, I think I owed my publisher so much money that any money that was accrued from Stephen King went right into their pockets. So I had he was coming in that weekend. I don't know if it was a Wednesday or something. The game was on Saturday. So I had 3 days to read this book, 900 pages. And so I plowed through, and I was up most nights just going through it. We get to Wrigley. We sit down. I'm all prepared to talk about the book in depth. And I started with, hey, man, I got to tell you, loved the book. And he goes, whatever, man. So who are you listening to? And we never spoke about the book.
Never did talk about
I didn't have to open the front cover. So, but anyway.
After you blitzed it.
I know, I was exhausted for a week. Just but yeah, so he's been so nice and generous, and what a brilliant guy. And, we spent some time together, but he's always working, and his mind is always working. It's amazing. I think to this day he still writes 6 hours a day. It's crazy. Yeah.
And he's 10 feet tall, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's not huge, not as big as Conan O'Brien or something. He made me look like Hervé Villachez. I was
tiny. That's great. Oh, golly. Also, I know that one of your albums is named after your hometown, Willow Springs, and you have a recording studio there at home as well. Obviously, I can, our listeners can't see, but I see your studio, and it's quite nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know this.
But you do all your recording right there now, don't you?
I do most of it here, because clearing out. Well, that I moved out of Willow Springs, and now I'm in a town called Orland Park, and I was getting rid of a bunch of old paperwork, and I saw the budget for my first record in 1991, and the album budget was $272,000. $272,000 to make my first record, and that was just the record. It wasn't the video. The video was another 80 something. And I mean, the amount of money that was spent in the early 90s, was incredible. But now you just do it all from home, and you send, and so the Westie guys, or my band here, I could send it, to my friends in Nashville. They'll play on something, send me back the files, and we kind of put it together remotely, most of it, and then, but this record was co-produced by my drummer, Stephen Gillis. He's got a real recording studio, and so we did a lot of opportunity because it's limiting what you could do at your home.
Well, I know you've also got some real talent on here. A couple names jumped out at me. Several of them I had heard, not only their names, but their music. One was Will Kimbrough, and the other one, David Grissom.
Yeah. Well, Will's been my guy since, he was on the second Westies record. That's when I first worked with Will, and then I've used him every record since because he's just so great. So yeah,
amazing talent.
Yeah, he's incredible. And then David Grissom was a guy I've known for a long, long time, and I've never used David, and it was thrilled to use him. A few songs I hadn't seen him and spoken to him, and I realized we were friends on Facebook, so we just reached out because we hung out a bit back in his Mellencamp days. So, but I hadn't seen him forever, so it was great to have him come along for the ride in this one.
That's super. Let's do a second song from that album.
Okay.
How about Our Little Secret?
Great.
A Wisconsin girl, a hotel room, a beauty queen, Tom Ford perfume. That poor chambermaid, I must confess, we left that room a total mess. You freed me from the chains that bound me. I thank God somehow you found me. I said, hey, pretty baby, what you trying to do? All I ever wanted was to be with you. I got a dead in mind and a love so true, so let's keep it our little secret. fairy lights will always shine, for they know you're forever mine. I wanna take you out to California when I get back from Barcelona. Wrestling you from your blue jeans, your love brings me to my knees. I say, hey, pretty baby, what you trying to do? All I ever wanted was to be with you. I got a dirty mind and a love so too, so let's keep it our little secret. We do things that most don't do. My love you made for me, and I was made for you. I meet you in the lobby bar. You'll be looking like a movie star. And I would wait night and day for you to say, let's run away. Only you would understand that I'm a different kind of man. I say, hey, pretty baby, what you trying to do? All I ever wanted was to be with you. I got a dirty mind and a love so true, so let's keep it our little secret. I say, hey, pretty baby, what you trying to do? All I ever wanted was to be with you. I got a dirty mind and a love so true, so let's keep it our little secret. Just our little secret. It's our little secret. Our little secret. It's our little secret.
Another terrific song. One of the ways that I describe this album, just one word, is brilliant.
Oh,
It is. It's wonderful, Michael. As a minute I kept going through it, I thought, oh, what a wonderful song. St. Paul's Boulevard, The Arsonist, Sick of This Town, Dead by Dawn. And then, of course, the real song with the biggest beat on there was Pack the Car.
yeah, yeah.
Which is just a feel-good song and reminds you of your parents cramming you into your car, on the way home or to
Yeah.
some event. It's great.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I do that song when I do solo shows. I do it as a ballad, and actually, it's funny. Somebody came up and said, that's really kind of a sad song." I was like, "I guess it is when I break it down like that." But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I have a daughter now, and she gets to pick the music, and I always say to her, I was never allowed to pick my parents' music ever. I would never even consider saying like, "Could we not listen to Nat King Cole?" Like, I could never say that. But now I have no say in it. I've just never, I guess that's my lot in life. I just never get to play the music that I want to in the car.
I think the thing that, and especially now, meeting you for the first time, I thought ever since I've heard your music, probably one of the best compliments that I could make is that you are indeed a real storyteller. That's what I like about your music and your lyrics.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I took a new venture into the storytelling world as I have a memoir coming out in September.
Oh, you do?
I did. Yeah, I finally wrote it. Because everybody would be like, "You got to write these stories down," and I'm like, and then a friend of mine said the problem with him writing a book is no one would believe it, and so I did it, and it was, I got to tell you, it was awful. It was just the worst thing I've ever done. It was just like grueling to have to go through all those stories. It's really a mirror to yourself when you, and I would encourage anybody to write it down. Like if no one would care about my story, no, do it for yourself. The things you learn about yourself, and you start to see patterns of behavior and pathology, and you realize, geez, all the mistakes you made are really become quite glaring. And so it was brutal. I'm just glad it's over. That I don't have to. My wife was just like, "This book is killing you." I was like, "It is. It's just awful to have to relive all this nightmare."
But a September release date then.
Yeah, it is. I don't know exactly when, but that's what we're shooting for.
Well, I'll be watching for it.
Yeah.
I want to be sure and point out my special guest today is Chicago singer-songwriter Michael McDermott. His new album is called St. Paul's Boulevard. It's just wonderful. He has a great catalog, not only as solo acts, but also 2 great albums that he did under the band name The Westies. He's on every social media out there, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Let me point out, too, his wonderful website with a lot of his videos on it. It's michael-mcdermott.com.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Can you tell me a little bit, stories and the lyrics in your music for St. Paul's Boulevard are so deeply personal. Can you tell me a little bit about, I know it's not a real boulevard in Chicago,
right,
but it is a real boulevard everywhere. Tell
it
me
is.
a little bit about that.
It's a street that runs through everybody. It's the arsonist in us. It's the self-saboteur. It's those places that there's a space between your youth and your adulthood that I think is a very tricky terrain, and I feel like I got stuck there. And I think, and a lot of people do, and in some ways it was a reference to Saint Paul himself, who was a terrible guy, and had this and like not making the total parallel there, but I was a drunk and a drug addict and a thief. I was a con man. So I certainly wasn't knocked off the horse, but I'm lucky to be alive, saved on a lot of levels. But yeah, so it's the place where people get stuck, when you realize that life is not, this is not what I was hoping for. And I think everybody at some point has that revelation where it's just like, this is not how I thought things would work out for me. And at some point I was facing 3 to 6 years in jail.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was but that didn't stop me. It didn't change anything. I still kept making a mess of things. So for some reason this record is kind of, why now to address those things? I don't know. It seems like this is about that time where I was really stuck. So were a lot of my friends. And then, they'd say misery loves company. And that's true, because then you start surrounding yourself with users and abusers and drug addicts and thieves. And it just becomes this vortex of circling down all of you together. But, I got to say that in those drug dens, and, they say, show me a guy knocking on the door of a whorehouse, I'll show you a guy looking for God. And we were all just people looking for something, looking for a connection to one another, to a higher power or whatever. So it's kind of a long answer, but I apologize. But it's about really seeking connection. Sometimes you go to the very, very wrong places looking for that.
Thank you, Michael. That's just an amazing explanation of that. I love that. I really do. It reflects not only in St. Paul's Boulevard, the song, but also in all the other songs that are on this. Just like I said, I call it a brilliant album. I really do. My special guest today, which I'm very grateful for. Oh, by the way, I saw something this morning that I hadn't seen when Mike sent me the liner notes. Thank you, paupers everywhere. It's on the liner notes of your album. That's terrific.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that so much. I really did. It made me laugh out loud. My special guest today, Michael McDermott, Chicago singer-songwriter, recording artist, Americana, folk singer, author.
Yeah, I know. Memoirist. Is that a word? I don't know.
Tell-all, whatever.
No, believe me, the tell-all would have been much more interesting, but I couldn't. I had to protect the innocent.
I understand.
People got very nervous when they heard I was writing a book. Like, oh, dude, you're not mentioning the time we. No, don't worry. It's all above board. I'm trying to do something positive.
Michael's new album is called St. Paul's Boulevard. You can pick it up at all the outlets where you listen by Steel Music.
I know, right?
Isn't that the truth?
All
And
you pirates out there.
oh my gosh, with or without a patch and a peg
Yeah.
leg. Yeah, right.
All you peg leggers.
Yeah, that's it. Please go to his website. You can listen to his music, watch some wonderful videos there. It's michael-mcdermott.com. Michael, thank you so very, very much for joining me. I can't tell you, it's been a pleasure. You've been one of my musical heroes for
Oh
about
my
10
God,
years now. And
I'm so honored, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you, honestly.
if I see your schedule, you've got booked up clear up into October and
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
tours. I don't see
Well,
any ways coming out this way, though.
I know we will. I think it's 23 now because I was talking to my agent about that. So yeah, I think in early 23 will be either January or March. I think she was talking about getting out to the West Coast. So
Perfect. I hope if
Yeah.
you come up, even going through from Seattle to Vancouver, maybe you'll stop and come in the station and bring
I would
your
love that.
guitar.
That would be
Oh,
awesome.
That
Yeah.
would be a hoot. I would
Yeah.
really enjoy that. Let's go out with one more song from this wonderful album, St. Paul's Boulevard. This is one of my favorites on the album. It's called Sick of This Town. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Thanks again, Michael.
Thank you.